let's create a graph. So far you have become familiar with spotting misleading graphs, looking at the axis, reading the context. You have seen biostatistics, seeing how easy it is to manipulate data, how to spot manipulative data, deceitful data, how easy it is to deceive the public, with misleading data. So let's create our own graphs so that we become kind of experts at spotting correct graphs. So US and IB students decided to run an experiment in which you're going to test the tensile strength of hair, right? I'm going to pretend this is hair. So you're trying to test how much can it resist before snapping. Now, our variable here is hair that is blow-dried regularly versus hair that is not blow-dried at all. We're using technology at our disposition. This is an imaginary scenario. So we use this machine, which is going to pull hair in opposite directions, and it's going to measure the strength that it took to snap that hair in newtons. The units are irrelevant. Just, these are all in the same unit. So let's do this. These are two arrays. We call them arrays. It's a set of data. This is the hair that is not blow-dried. This is the hair that is blow-dried. You'll notice that they both contain 50 samples. Actually, let's do this a little bit bigger. You might not be able to see that. There you go. Hopefully it's better for you. It's better for me, definitely. So you can do that here. Zoom in to 125%. We have 50 samples of hair that are blow-dried, 50 samples of hair that are not blow-dried. You'll notice this one goes out a long way. And this is just to show you how to do this type of graph. So first, let's select this one. You'll notice it's a little bit difficult to select all of it. And that information will come in handy in a little bit. Once you have selected all the entire array of information, you can either click here and insert graph, chart, or you can insert chart right here. This is just a shortcut, so I'm going to insert that chart. And this scatter plot chart. See, scatter plots are good for identifying patterns, but in this case, we're not looking for a pattern. We're looking for comparing two variable data. So the best graph for this is to use a column graph. Now, this obviously doesn't do us any better. It's not any better than the other one because one of the first rules of graphing data is don't graph raw data. Well, let's go back to here, to the initial point. Let's erase this graph. And instead of graphing this entire thing, because we want to compare, is hair that is not blow-dried perhaps stronger than hair that is blow-dried? Well, we're going to find the mean of this array. In order to do that, let's look at our formulas. This is the mean. You put equal and then average. Okay, let's do that here. We're going to take the average of all these. So we're going to put right here mean, and next to it, we're going to highlight that box or that cell just so that we know this is the mean, right next to the word mean. Sorry, I'm just being a little picky right here. Did that make any difference? Okay, let's do this. So equal, we said average. Here it is. And then it's asking you the average of what? Well, in this case, it's relatively easy to select this. And you notice it puts this range for you automatically when you select it. Then press enter. And there you go. 1.71186. So that is the average, the mean, of pulling out all these hairs from somebody who blow-dried their hair and then measuring the strength at which it snaps at the end with this machine. Now you notice, well, it might be a little bit more difficult to do that over here. just gonna do the same thing, put a border there, and then here I'm gonna start typing equal average, select that one. Now, like I mentioned, it might be more difficult to select this, especially if you don't have a mouse with a scroll wheel like this, and you're doing it in your mouse pad. What you can do is, let's go back, notice or make a note of the first cell, that is D9. Let's get rid of that. That is D9, and the last cell is D58. So let's go back to our box here and put down D9, and then we're gonna put that sign, whatever it is. Oh no, I messed up the video again. To D58. Was it D58? Yeah, there you go. Now I'm curious. Is it a colon? Can you tell I'm not an English teacher? Okay, this is gonna go in the record. Ah, there you go, a colon. Well, obviously my intuition was correct. So there you go. Here it is. The mean of hair that is not dried versus the mean of hair that is dried, blow dried regularly. Obviously, without even graphing it, this seems much larger, or it has more strength. Now let's graph. I'm going to put these two next to each other. I didn't lose the formula because the formula stays there no matter where I move the cell. And now I'm going to select everything and insert the chart. Wow, and there it is. And it's always useful to look back to the values. This is 2.07, this is 1.7, just to check that our graph makes sense. A little bit above 2, a little bit above 1.5, that is, 2.07 and 1.7. Now, we could stop the video right here, but I'm just going to show you a few more tricks. So we could use column E as a label. You'll notice here it says mean. Oh, that didn't make any difference. Okay, doesn't matter. We can change this later. So let's go to customize. Let's go to legend. Nope. Where is it? Where is it? Here, major grid lines. We could put more grid lines. Let's do them in a lighter color. Could put minor grid lines just to put a more accurate representation of what those values are. And I do this every year, but obviously it takes a little bit of practice every time you do it. So let's look. First, let's pause the video. All right, I found it. Okay, sometimes, and this is just like a Google Sheet thing. If you grab these values and they're on top of each other, sometimes it's better that you put them next to each other. But if that doesn't work, it's just useful to click something here called Switch Rows and Columns. Once you do that, it sees those two different numbers as different values or different arrays of information. In this case, they're called series. So once we do that, it's much easier to customize. Basically, what you're looking for is that they look in different colors. So now let's just make it pretty. We're going to take column 1, and we're going to put data labels, and that puts exactly the value that we want there, just in case it's difficult to read. We can also interruption. Okay, we can also, and this is a personal preference, change it to a lighter color. This will come in handy later, so I recommend that you do it now. Let's go to column 2, change it to a lighter color. Could be any color as long as it's relatively light, and we'll put data labels right there. And for now, we are done with our graph.